Hello again, people. It's your boy, CT, the kid from OP, on another episode of the Undivided Bridge, where we bridge the gap between youth and their future. As always, I got my co-host, Dakota Gibson, in the house. And then we have a guest today that...
Another Oak Parker.
A lot of our kids... What?
Another Oak Parker.
Another Oak Park. This one's really born and raised. I've only been here since '89, but he's true and through. But no, Cory has a job and a business that a lot of our youth have been asking us about, and it's real estate. Right? These kids, they see the glamour, they see people owning the houses, and but there's some things I don't think they see about it, right?
I think with everything, right? That happens in a lot of stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Especially these days, in this day and age, you see the glitter, but I'll tell you the real deal. I'm always going to tell you the real deal. So, so.
Love it. So, born here, Oak Park.
Born in Oak Park, raised in Oak Park. My dad still lives in the house I grew up in.
Yeah.
Born and raised here. I don't live here now, though.
Went to OPRF, though, right?
Went to
right
OPRF, yep. I know. You went to Fenwick, but,
yes,
so, went to OPRF.
We'll still be cool. We'll still be all right.
Yeah, at least on camera.
Love it. So what got you into real estate?
Ooh, that's a great question. I didn't choose real estate, let me tell you that. I sort of fell into it serendipitously. I actually, so my first job when I was here in Oak Park after school, when I was like 13 maybe, I don't know if you could do this these days, but I was a secretary at my mom's real estate office. So my mom went into real estate after she ran a daycare at our house, and so that's what I did after work, right? And on the weekends, and I was like a secretary back when it was a very different business before the internet. So this was before the internet, right? And so I've been around it for a long time. I never thought I would get into it, actually. So I went and I know you talk about passions later. My passion is the outdoors, it's nature and stuff. So I actually went to school for environmental science, which I think, isn't it like people change their careers like 7 times now or something like that? So keep in mind that what you get into for college doesn't always and usually doesn't end up what you end up doing. So, the idea, pressure that you have to make a decision now, I think is not necessarily the reality of the world that we live in. But so anyways, long story short, and I can talk forever, so I'll try to make this a little bit short. I bounced around with environmental science jobs, which do not pay very well. And so at some point, not going and getting a master's or a PhD, you have limitations on what you can do. So I traveled around the country. I ended up hurting my back, and so I got more of a sedentary job. So I started working for a title company. And that was not by choice either. It was just like a job that paid health insurance that my friend could get me. Yeah, you know what I mean? And they had really good health insurance, right? Which is something, if you do real estate, you do not get health insurance, by the way. So anyway, so long story short, I ended up working for the federal government, for FEMA, traveling around, and I fell in love. And I was like, I can't be traveling around to, you know what I mean? Because I met somebody. And so I needed to come back. And at that point, I was already in my early 30s. With basically a decade of not having a proper job, right? Even to this day, I don't think I've gone on a proper job interview. And I was like, what am I gonna do? And so I actually started trying to get into real estate investing, which is very difficult. I mean, it's a lot of work. Everything's a lot of work, but it's hard to get in the door or whatever, and I needed to get some income. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Go back to basically start 10 years behind everybody else and make a salary that I probably wouldn't be comfortable with, And I also, the idea of every 2 weeks getting the same paycheck is a struggle for me, but also going 3 months without a paycheck in real estate is also a struggle. So you got to decide. So long story short, I decided that I would get into real estate. My mom was an agent for, I partnered with my mom. And so it was honestly a way to sort of ease in with a client base. I was in front of sellers long before, like most people when they get in the business, you're totally new and you have sort of a progression, and you're not usually sitting at a seller's table at a $900,000 house, your first couple weeks of work, and I was able to do that. So, so I partnered with my mom, and I got into it because it was the ability to if I worked harder, I felt like I, would be able to make more money, and I hadn't really picked a path so I didn't have any specific skill per se. So yeah, that's sort of how I fell into it. And now I've been doing it 11 years now. So yeah.
Nice. Definitely
Yeah.
a long career with that. So
Yeah.
I know we talked off camera, I want to say one or two times, so a little bit of spoilers behind the scenes. But so you're kind of discussing how your interests personally diverge from your career, right? Like
Yeah.
real estate not only was something that naturally you were sort of born into, but also, you discovered who you were outside of that. So how would you say that you should find the intersection between something that is financially stable and profitable and what they love to do?
It's a great question. I wish that I had done that and thought about that when I was younger, honestly. I know, I've done a lot of reading books about bettering yourself, bettering your career, mindset books and stuff like that. And a lot of people talk about when you find your passion, you go for it. I can't say that I found a passion that I've chased. You know what I mean? My passion truly is helping people, and I feel like I do that in real estate, which I enjoy. That's why I stay in it, honestly, because it's a grind, honestly. I stay in it because I love helping people. If you ask me, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that specifically. I do think that when you find something that you really love doing, I think you feel it differently, right? Like I love doing video. I love being behind a camera right now. I do a lot of social media videos. Then trying to make it profitable, I think there's going to be, you got to dedicate yourself. You really have to say, I'm committed to this. I'm going to do this, and burn your bridges. And some people say, you know what I mean? Like if you're sort of halfway, do it. But I think also being realistic on what lifestyle do you want, right? Are you going to have the lifestyle you want with this? Is it all about money, right? I mean, you need to make a living. Obviously, we all need to make a living. At some point, how much money is enough? You know what I mean? And I think with me in environmental science, I realized that not only did I feel like I didn't know that I was going to be making a difference in the big scheme of the world, where I do feel like I do make a difference when I help somebody purchase a home or sell a home, I also knew that the financial benefit, it was not necessarily, I don't think I was going to be able to financially feel comfortable. So I don't know if that answers your questions. I gave a lot of NFL quarterback answers, so NFL coach answers, right? But I think it's hard when you're young to what's your passion? My passion is being outside kayaking. So I went to school for environmental science because I was a little kid, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I like the woods, and so I didn't yeah, right? If you ask me, I would be great to run a canoe place, but I mean, I'm probably not going to make a great living, and yeah, so I think really thinking about what sort of lifestyle that you would really want in any job. What is your day-to-day going to be? When people tell me they do something, I'm like, that doesn't mean anything to me. What do you do Monday morning whenever you get to work? When you rifle up your computer, or what do you actually do? Because it's just words, So yeah, I don't know. I think thinking about what you love to do, and is it viable? Or can you, for instance, some people, I think, you don't want to be miserable at your job, but can you scratch those itches of your passions on the weekends, on other time, and not necessarily have to make it your job, which I think some people are way too focused on. I have to have a passion. You don't want to not like what you do, absolutely, but I go to Brazil a lot, and one of the reasons, and I stay there for a long time, 3 weeks or a month. That's one of my biggest passions, right? And so I couldn't do that with a 9-to-5 job. I can build that into the life that I have now, and that's one of the biggest reasons that I stay in this job when I don't have paychecks for 3 months, because I know that sometime this year I'm going to go spend 3 weeks in Brazil, right? It's not my job working down there, but I have a job that allows me to do that. So, I think you can build your passions into around your job too.
Okay.
Which I think is important. I mean, so.
You're a little braver than me. I feel like when I think of Brazil and the woods, I think of really big bugs, a lot of spiders,
and snakes and jaguars and everything.
I feel like I can do snakes, but the spider, anything that flies or tries to bite me, well, I guess snakes bite. Either way, I'm good on it. But even within that too, in addition, I think, to scratching that itch on the weekend, it sounds to me like the core throughout all of that, right? Possibly having a canoe shop, possibly, getting into other fields, helping people is sort of the common thread. So it sounds to me from what you're saying, you don't randomly pick any career that's profitable, because that's a good way to hate something. You also find common threads between something that you love. And so real estate does, in a way, kind of connect to that passion of loving to help people.
Yeah. That's why I do it. I mean, I really enjoy when I am working with, especially a first-time home buyer or someone who's scared with the process, doesn't know what they're doing, and I can help them make a really good decision and a good choice. That is huge for me, right? Like being in the moment. The other stuff, I don't like a lot of it, right? Like the paperwork, you know, there's a lot of grind, but when I'm in that moment and I'm helping somebody get a house, you know, or help them navigate a really difficult part of the process, it's really rewarding.
You mentioned earlier about kind of some of the grind, right, involved within it, which I don't think a lot of socialites are showing that part.
Yeah, no.
So tell us a little bit more about that. Like, what does your day-to-day look like?
You get a license, you know, you go and you take some tests. You got to get a license to sell real estate.
How long to take the test?
Oh gosh, you can do it online now. I think there's at least probably 6 weeks of courses. I don't know, it was a long time ago.
How
right?
much
But
about to get the
do
license?
it? Oh geez, that's another thing. There's fees that you have to pay each. I don't know. Maybe $1,000, maybe less, right? You know what I mean? Like depending on what courses you take, right? Like I think there's maybe some in person, but you know, there's a lot of online that you can do. I like in person. I like people. That's why I do my job at this, right? I think, you know, this is a contact sport, and it's you know, like a contact industry. If you're not comfortable reaching out and talking to people, then you're not going to do well. But it's probably going to cost you $500 to $1,000 just to take the courses and everything. The thing is, the day you get your license, like your phone doesn't just start ringing, right? Like you don't just like, it's not like it's not like a 9-to-5 job. You then have to find a company to sponsor you. So once you find that company, first off, they're going to take a bunch of your money, even when you start making money. Some companies, when you're new, they'll take 50% of that paycheck, and the government takes another 30%. So like you're not making that much money. I think people really I think the average realtor makes like $35,000 last year and did like one transaction, right? So most people are not making money in this business. That's, you know, just the straight up truth of the numbers. So the grind is, first off, you got to find people. How do you do that, right? Like, you know, you got your sphere of influence, but you have to hustle, and you have to find clients. And then once you get them, or you start getting them, you have to manage them, right? Like I just literally got off the phone. So you plan your day. I had a day planned, and then I got a phone call from someone who wants to buy a place, right? They could go to any other realtor. So I have to try to service them to make them try to want to work with me. And so now I was on the phone for an hour today, when I have other clients I have to service, other things that I need to do, right? And so I have to stop everything. Now they want to go see properties tomorrow. So now my afternoon, let's say I had anything that I want to do, like go kayak or ride my bike, like that's off the table, because especially in this market right now, which is extremely challenging. So that's another thing, right? Like it can be very reactionary. And if you like your personal time, you shouldn't get into real estate, right? Because the idea that like you make your schedule is like a myth, right? Like, yes, you can block time off that you couldn't do if you have a 9-to-5, but like, you know how many times like I was like, we're gonna go out Saturday morning in kayak, or we're gonna do something, and then I get a call like this $700,000 house came on the market, and my clients want to see it. What am I gonna do? No, I'm going hiking tomorrow morning, right? Like, no, you're going, right? And you have to change your plans. I was at a concert like last Monday, in between bands, a concert I've been waiting for that's my other passion, by the way, music. So waiting for months, and I'm sitting there in between having to negotiate a deal, and then in between when the bands are playing, worrying about this now. So there is no shut off in real estate, really. Like it's hard, and especially if you're like me, like I really care. A lot of agents don't care as much, so it's easy for them to shut it off. If their clients don't get the deal, it's not a big deal. But for me, that's important. So there's a grind of like the follow-up constant. If you know, they say you should, like the whole thing, make 5 phone calls a day, right, to like new people. Like that's a grind, you know what I mean? When you get a person, you have to service that. You have to put them in little things. You got to put them in your database. You got to set up a search form. You got to follow up with them. Then now you have to sign contracts with everybody. So, I mean, just the running around, the sending paperwork all over. I'm not good at paperwork. And like, you know, like getting signatures on everything. There's a lot of little things, you know. Dakota and I were talking before, like, you have to be everything in real estate, right? Like you're a marketer, you're a social media expert, you're a secretary, you know, it's just you're a graphic designer, right?
So let me ask you this, because that is a lot for a young person, right?
Yeah.
To take in. So for a young person that wants to get into real estate, if you could just think of one thing, like, hey, this is one secret that if you do this one thing, you're gonna be okay in it. You're gonna make it. What would be that one thing?
It's a great question.
And not to say that they
Yeah.
don't have to learn other things,
Yeah,
but if you could just pick
yeah.
one as the priority.
Follow up. I mean, I don't know if that might sound simple, but it's really, I mean, you know how many people don't follow up, right? Like, and get a good mentor. I mean, I think getting a good mentor, like getting on, maybe if you're younger, getting on a team, right? I had the luxury of being with my mom, but like showing up and following up in this business is huge, because so much stuff you get inundated. You're not going to when you're new, but like, you know, how many times? So when I decided to get my real estate license, I got all excited. So I started going to open houses like that weekend. So I went to some open houses, and I would go in them, and the agents didn't know me. They didn't know that I was going to be an agent. They thought I was maybe a buyer. Half of them were sitting there reading their books. Almost none of them followed up with me. And like, I'm like, how do you expect to make money, right? Like, that's where you find buyers who don't have agents when you do open houses. I've made so much money from open houses because I follow up. And most agents don't follow up, right? And following up genuinely, right? Like, you know, let's just say there's 2 agents who, you know, set people up on a search after that. That's what, you know, you set people up, so you start sending them on properties. And so like what I'll do is I will actually like specifically, because it's all just general, right? It's just like canned. It throws out, oh, you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath up to 400,000, but like actually send them a text or a message saying, hey, I saw this place and I thought about you, right? And so I think genuinely following up is one of the things that you would, you know.
That sounds like relationship building.
Yeah, relationship
Right?
building. It's
like,
about, yes.
it's not even just
It's all
the
about
business.
relationship
It's like,
building, yes.
hey, if you want to build that relationship, if you have a friend, you don't just wait for them to call you, right?
Right.
You call them.
Yes.
You say, hey, want to go hang out here? Want to
Yeah.
do this? Want to, you know, I saw this. I thought about you.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think it's the same
Yeah.
with real estate, because you're building a relationship.
Yeah.
You're getting to know them, getting to figure out how you all connect. And then, hey, now you know when the time is right, I'm here.
Yep.
Right? We built that connection.
Yeah.
So.
And if you're not salesy with that, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think for me, I joke, one of your questions was selling houses. I don't consider myself, I don't sell houses, right? Like, I joke that most of my buyers, I spend more time convincing them not to buy houses, which you think like, what the hell, that's your job, right? Like, but that's not my job. And the reason that my job is to counsel people and help them make good decisions. And a lot of people don't know what they're doing. You shouldn't. You buy one house every 10, you know what I mean? Like, so I do this all the time. So I'm gonna help you work through the fact that this house is not a good house. Not just a good house in general, but not a good house because I listen to what is important to them, right? So like that whole, like paying attention to what's important to people and not thinking about your money. Like, you'll get your money if you think about other people, right? Like, if you care and if you get people what they want, you will make more money than you ever thought. But if you're always thinking about yourself, you're not going to make money, right? You know what I mean? I had this like friend, and he was like, "Why would you follow up after they bought a house?" It's like, that's why I don't have to market a lot, because people refer me, because I do follow up, because I make sure that they're comfortable in their house. I don't like shy away if they have an issue in their home, if they get water in their basement, which we get a lot of water in our basements around here, right? Like, I'm there, you know, to help them. So yeah, that organically putting their needs in front of your paycheck is going to get you more money in the long run.
Yeah, man, that's great advice. Not just for real estate, for any industry.
Yeah. Find out what people need, man, and meet that need, you know.
Love it. In terms of working with youth, do you work with youth a lot? Do a lot of internships? Like, tell us more about that.
Not with my job, you know. I do volunteer stuff on my own with younger kids. I was just talking to one of my coworkers about, you know, I would totally be interested in that. I don't think there's really a mechanism that I've seen too much. I know some people get some like kids from the high school, but like, if I would be totally open if someone wanted to and was interested in learning more, of sitting down with them and talking to them. Absolutely. I actually had I was going to answer one of your questions about my what is it, the best, what is it, something about my most impactful service,
Yeah,
right?
I was
All
thinking
right,
about that.
so I'll tell you the story. That is one of my best stories, and I can see the condo right there that I sold. So this is I love this story because this is the cheapest deal I've ever done, and by far the most rewarding deal I've ever done. I thought about it because the woman that I sold the place to, her son had asked me about, oh, I might be want to get into real estate. And long story short, he never really followed up. But the cool part of this business and why I love this business and you know, so when I first got in the business, rentals, there was way more rentals around. And I met this woman, she was looking for rentals. And her and I joke to this day, we still remember the rental unit that we were in. She was a single mother with a young kid. And she was like, we're looking at rentals, 400 block of South Taylor, crappy unit. And she was like, I wish I could buy a place. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, maybe you can. She's like, I could never buy a place. I was like, I'm not saying you can, but like, you might be able to, and you sure don't know, right? Because you're just assuming you can with whatever things inside of your head that you have that you think you can't do it. And I was like, once again, let's keep looking for rentals, but like, why don't we explore the possibility of you purchasing? Because you've just told yourself you can't for whatever reason. So let's explore it. So helped her figure that out. She got pre-approved, went out, she bought a condo right across the street. Like I said, cheapest deal I've ever done. And I just resold it 10 years later, and she said to me, you changed my entire life, right? Like I was able to raise my kid here in Oak Park. I didn't have the crazy rentals, like the rental increases that I would have had to been bouncing around, probably would have lost a place. I built equity in this place, you know, and for me that like to help someone who really didn't think they could ever do this was way more rewarding than getting a call from someone who can afford $1 million house and buys $1 million house, right? Like it was by far the most rewarding, you know, like it was awesome, you know, and then helping her resell it was just really cool. So that was definitely, you know, for me, that's the type of stuff that keeps me doing the business, you know.
That's a dope story.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
So don't have those limiting beliefs, right? You maybe can't do it, but explore it with everything, right? Like explore it. I'm totally like, I could tell you so many stories that people tell me, oh, I couldn't do this, I can't do that, this is this or this, and it's like, you didn't even look into it, you know, like you didn't even explore it, you know, yeah.
So in thinking, because we've had, I think a couple of youth interested in real estate, but then a couple of real estate agents as well. So I think one of the things we're trying to think about is how do we help some of these youth get in? So if you were to break down some like day-to-day tasks that you think would be skills that a young adult could come in and maybe help you with for, let's say, 6 weeks.
Yep.
Came in a couple days a week, a couple hours. What would those skills look like?
Okay, great question. So one of the things most realtors aren't very organized. I'm not super organized, right? So even helping me like stay on track with the people that I should be calling, the follow-ups that I should be doing. Some of that might be making brochures, right? You know, another thing that would help me if someone's organized and is good with computers, like going into my database and helping me create follow-up plans, right? Because like I need to sit down and do that, and I don't have the patience or the time to do that. So for me, that will be helpful, right? Like when you get a lead in, how do you follow up with that person? And we can create checklists for that, right? And do that kind of a thing, you know? And so I have the system for that, but I don't have the time or the patience to actually put that together, right? Building a marketing plan, right? So that like, so often it's like, oh, I should have done that this month, but I don't have it on a calendar, right? I don't have the marketing plan together, right? Really like what's gonna drive business and setting those follow-ups, you know, setting like, okay, like calendar, what are we going to do in this quarter? What are we going to do in this quarter? You know, there are certain things they can't do because they're not licensed, right? So I have to be a little bit careful with that kind of stuff. Cleaning up my database, right? Like going through and like if they don't have emails or if they don't have addresses, should they even be in there, right? I do, so marketing, you know, if someone's in the, like, sales is really marketing, and you know, which is something I don't like, but it's what you got to do. For me, if there was someone interested in who knew social media, because I don't. I love doing videos, and if you look on me, like after this, if you find me online, I do a ton of videos, but I don't know what I'm doing. I just throw them out there, and so I don't think I'm getting the traction, because if some, you know what I mean? So a person who is interested in social media aspect of it, I would love that. Sit down and help me, like, how do I try to engage, because I don't have that mindset, right? There's a lot of little tasks, you know, like helping me do brochures, things like that, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And then I think you would get to see what the day-to-day is. And that's where I go back to like, try to build the life that you want. as a, you know what I mean? And you can only do so much. You're a kid, right? Or you're a young adult, right? But like, if you don't want to be bothered after 5 p.m., then don't be an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like, because it's a 24-hour job. You know what I mean? So like, that's the kind of thing. We can cut that out.
That's all right.
Right?
It's just in their phones.
Yeah.
In their phones.
So yeah, get out of your phone if you want to be in this business. Definitely get out of your phone. Like one thing. I have to be on my phone all the time because that's how I do business. But you got to make phone calls, right? It's not just text messaging, you know. So yeah, that I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that was great, man. That was great. What is the hardest thing you've ever had to go through?
In my job?
In life. Life or job, either or.
Ooh, geez. That's a great question. I mean, so I think the hardest thing was a kid having my best friend die when I was in Oak Park, you know. Absolutely. That was like, as a impressionable young kid, you know what I mean? Having that happen when I was 13 was challenging, right? It definitely altered my life, you know. So that, I think, was, you know, the most challenging thing that I've had to deal with. And so outside of that, work-wise, you know, there's good and bad years, you know, like really like having to deal, like not getting, you know, having very low times without money, but it's just money, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you'll figure it out, right? Like, it's just money, but there's a big stress in this business. I think that people don't understand the stress of how am I gonna pay my bills when like right now we have a really tough market. So there's a lot of agents who are doing really hard work. I'll give you an example, like, right, I just got a house under contract, 12 offers. So 11 agents did not get paid. I got the house, luckily, but so think about that. There's 11 agents who are showing these clients around. People are losing, you know, buyers are losing houses, 5, 6, 7 houses that they're not getting an offer on. So there's an agent. So like, you can be doing all of the work and you don't get paid just because of the crazy market that we're in. Yeah, so going through just sort of those downs, you know, those down times.
Yeah. Yeah, there's waves in everything in life. I think whether it's an entrepreneur or just working for the man.
Yeah,
you know,
right,
I think you have ups and downs to life. I think one of the most important things is like having that resilience, having that focus to just stay committed to what the goal is, you know. Any last words?
Well, I had just one more question.
Yeah.
So what would you say are the first steps for you towards something like this? I know we kind of danced around it a little bit, but any concrete resources or educational programs, any recommendations for what they should be doing after they watch this video?
Yeah, right. Well, contact me. No, I'll sell your parents a house. No, I got to throw something like that in there. No. So, yeah, I mean, if you're interested in getting a license, there's a couple things that you can do. You need to go online and like Google or whatever, ChatGPT, like real estate schools, right? So that you could actually get the courses done. But if you really want to, there's, you know, a lot of local offices. Wherever you are, you're gonna need to have your license with a company. So you need to go to a company if you're in Oak Park, if you're in wherever you are in the country, right? Like go to a local office and talk to their managing broker, because that's the person who's gonna hire you. And they can tell you what courses you might want to take. They might have courses, and so they're going to be the ones who hire you, because once you get your license, you need to have somebody willing to hire you. So really starting there, finding a brokerage, you know, that like is in your local area, and then interview those brokerages, because like in Oak Park, you got, you know, Compass the best. You have Baird and Warner, you have Berkshire Hathaway. So, you know, you would go to all of those and talk to them about whether they would want to hire, whether they would hire you, and then do you want to work for them, and interview them. Don't look at it just like they're interviewing you. Like, think about it as like you're interviewing them. Do you want to work for that company? So really, the thing is finding a local company in the area that you want to do your business, and going to them and start talking to the managing broker.
What are some of the things as they are interviewing them that they may want to look out for, right? There will be differences.
Yeah, absolutely, right. That's a great question. So, split is one. I mean, money is money, right? Like, what is the split, and what are my ability to, what do I need to make to have that split change? Like when you're a new agent, I'll just use like 60-40, which means that like you are going to get maybe 60% of the deal when you close. And so if a $10,000 check comes in, you're going to make $6,000 before taxes, and then the brokerage is going to take $4,000. So, you know, let's say you want to know, one, what that split is, and then two, like, what do you need to make to have that split increase?
To 80%.
To 80%, right, to 80, 85. What does that look like? You also want to add, like, what, I think, this is not as common anymore, but when I started, certain brokerages would offer you like lead sources. So they would pay, I think I was at a company called Weichert, and we like put ads on buses, and you could be a part of like them getting you leads. Because like I said, how do you get new business, right? How do you get leads coming in? So some companies will have systems in place, and they'll be paying for things so that you can get like leads from them. So that is one thing. If they offer it, the thing is, I don't know that I would just choose because of that, because usually they're low quality leads, you know. But if you have nothing, right, that's like something that you want to think about. But more importantly, I think also is like training, because like this business is notorious. It's like you get your license, you work for a company, and it's like good luck, bring in some business, you know. And you know, a lot of places don't offer good training. You know, and Compass is not the type of place that really takes new agents, by the way. Like I could hire someone on my team, but as a company model, we don't do new agents that we need to train. And some other companies do, and they have training programs. So like, that's something I think that if you're a new agent, it would be important, if you don't have someone you can partner with, is what sort of training that they can do so that you can have that sort of that groundwork to, you know, put the systems in place and know what you're doing.
Okay, and it sounds to me too, you know, if we have some people that are watching that may be a little too young, or it may be, you know, a big commitment to do the licensing, they could even talk to people like you, just get basic opportunities like you mentioned before, secretarial stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm always open to talking to people about real estate, about career stuff, if you want to reach out, you know, if you're thinking about real estate. Another thing real quick, because I like to talk, but no, there's a lot of facets to real estate. So there's commercial real estate, there's residential real estate, you know, there's property development, there's investing, there's a lot of things that you can do in real estate, and you can make good money, you know. And I think you want to try to find the type of real estate that suits what you're looking for if you want to be in real estate. So I think it's not just residential real estate, it's not just buying and selling houses. There are people who make a killing just doing rentals. You know, I don't like doing rentals, but you know, there are people who do it. And so find your niche. If real estate, for whatever reason, but think about what is the reason that you want to do real estate. But anyways, find that niche and, you know, pursue it.
Good stuff. Well, actually, speaking of reaching out, where can people find you? Any websites? Any other information?
Websites are so 90s, right? Funny enough, I do have a website that my company provides for me. So if you want to look, you can find me. It's Cory Kohut. I'm on Instagram a lot, Facebook. I got the TikTok. You know, I don't dance, but not yet at least. But anyways, my handle, what is it, like Cory Kohut Realtor? But if you just Google Cory Kohut,
Yeah,
Cory Kohut Realtor, right? So my email is Cory, Cory.Kohut@gmail.com. You can contact me there if you want to. But if you find me on social media, you can DM me, I guess. What does that mean? Direct message?
Yes.
I'm an old man. So that's a way you can do it. And my number is 708-476-8901. If you want to shoot me a text or actually give me a call, you know, you can, you know, contact me all those ways.
Hey. When a man gives you his phone number, or a lady, that's real business. He's standing on real business. And so we appreciate that. We appreciate you taking the time, coming out to, you know, share some knowledge with our youth. We're definitely looking forward to thinking through what a process could look like to get a couple of youth, you know, just partner with you for a couple days and see what they can learn, get a day in the life a little bit. And,
I would love that. So
love it.
You know,
any last words that you would give to your 14-year-old self?
I think thinking about what you really want to do, and you know, it's hard when you're 14, but I think being a little bit more serious about my life, honestly, you know, being a little bit more serious about two things: pursuing something, failing, be willing to fail, right? You're going to fail in this business. You're going to fail in anything that you do. But if you're scared to do that, you're not going to succeed at anything. And also, more confidence, right? Just be more confident. Like, everybody's out here trying to do something, right? Like, you think all these people know what they're doing. They don't. They're just trying to figure it out, right? Like I said, I think people change their career like 7 times. Like, you don't have to get everything right, like the first time. So if I was younger, I would tell myself, don't be so scared to try. Yeah, think it through a little bit more, right? And think it through, like, what is important to you in life, and what you really feel inside is important to you,
I love that, man.
So
be intentional, y'all. Be intentional. There is a whole world out there, a whole life for you to live, a lot of options, but there are certain things that each of us have inside of us that are secrets and special and things that only we have and that are our value. And I think the earlier that we start committing to those and looking at how those things tie to how we can help the world and impact the world with those things, that's where happiness lies. So keep doing that. We will keep bringing amazing gentlemen like Cory on to open up doors for you all and opportunities. And until we meet again, you all, peace in the water.